All right, peeps. Today we're going to talk about Obladi, Oh Blada by the Beatles. It's another chance to do some chunking, and it has some interesting upstroke change things in the chorus and in the bridge, all kinds of fun stuff. So this is going to take 2 videos, but we'll get started. In the verse, we have C in the G, marketplace, G7. Molly is a singer in the C. C. Desmond says to Molly girl, F. I like your face. And Molly C. And G7 and the C. So if you think of the strummy chunka as a pattern, strummy chunka. There's a previous video on chunking, by the way. We got 2 patterns each. Strummy chunka barrow in the G, a chunka G, a chunk. 7 chunka, 7 chunka C, chunka C, a chunk. Desmond chunka, Molly chunka F, chunka F, a chunka C, chunka G, chunka C, chunka G. So that last line goes C, chunka, G, chunka, C, or G7, C. So those are the verse. So we'll sing one verse. Here we go. 1 under tempo. 1 ticka boompa chicka. Desmond chunka, C a chunka, market, G place, chunk. 7 chunka, singer in the C, chunka C a chunk. C a chunka goes to the F a chunka place. C chunka G7 and the C. Then we get to the fun stuff. Okay, the chorus is 2 repeated lines and they do it twice. Our chords are C, Obladi, Oblada, life goes on, E minor, Bra, A minor, and then C, La, La, Hal, G7, C. Obladi, Oblada, life goes E minor, A minor, C, a Hal, G7, C. But how we get there is the tough part. This is going to take some practice for a lot of you. So we start off normal. Strummy chunka, strummy chunk. And then instead of just going upstroke on that E minor, on that C, we're going to switch to E minor there. So it's going to go down, up, chunka, down, up, chunk, up. So let's do that much. We're going to get that E minor on that upstroke after a chunk. Strummy chunka, strummy chunk, upstroke. One more time. C up chunk, C up chunk, up. And then once we get there, we're going to go on the E minor, up, up chunk, up, up chunk. And then that next upstroke will be on a new chord. It's going to go up, up chunk, A minor, up chunk. And then C is also up, up chunk. Up, up chunka, G, up chunka, C. So we're going to get off on some up, up, up stroke changes. And then we use the last part of that C chord to straighten us back out and put us back on path for that G7 and the regular chunk. So in super slow motion, this is how those 2 lines of the chorus goes. D, O, blah, da, life goes up, up chunk A, up chunk C, up chunka G, up chunka C. And we use that G7, so, yeah. C up chunk, C up chunka, G up chunka, C. So we're going E minor, up, up, chunk, A minor, we do the same thing, up, up, chunk. And on the C, we go up, up, chunka, up, up, chunka. And now we're ready for a downstroke on C, G, up, chunka, C. Oh, blah, dee, oh, blah, da. Life goes up, up, chunk A, up, chunk C, up, chunka G, up, chunka C. Oh, blah, dee, oh, blah, da. Life goes up, chunk A, up, chunk C, up, chunka G, up, chunka C. One more time. Oh, blah, dee, oh, blah, da. Life goes up, chunk A, up, chunk chunka G, up, chunka C. One more time. Blah, dee, oh, blah, da. Life goes A, up, chunk A, up, chunk C, up, chunka G, up, chunka C. That one little section will reward you with a lot of heavy-duty practice. I would start maybe with just the E minor. Up, chunk. And then go from up, chunk A. Just getting to where that A minor happens on an upstroke. E, up, chunk A. Once you can do that a couple of times, then you go E minor, A, up, chunk C. All those starting with upstrokes. E, up, chunk A, up, chunk C. And then when we get to C, we're going to go up, chunka G. So that comes back to normal. We straighten it out. So it goes E, up, chunk A, up, chunk, up, chunka G, up, chunka C. You'll wear out this section of the video. Tell you what, we will talk about the bridge and the little horn lick and everything else on the second video. So the thing to remember here is the verse is straight chunk. The marrow in the marketplace. Molly is the singer in the band. Desmond says to Molly, girl, I like your face. In this evening, and she takes him by the hand. Then the chorus has all those upstroke changes. Oh, blah, dee, oh, blah, da. Life goes up, chunk A, up, chunk C, up, chunka G, up, chunka C. Oh, blah, dee, oh, blah, da. Life goes up, chunk A, up, chunk C, up, chunka G, up, chunka C. So, all the verses are the same. All the choruses are the same with a very one minor chord change the very, very last time through on the chorus. And we'll talk about the bridge and the horn lick in the next video. Have fun with this one. It's a great, fun little song to play.